I love this question. I'm a huge fan of the original stuffing in Rushton, so let's get into it. So if you guys remember that bunny, like the big monocle bunny that I did that was super, super dirty, this is what his stuffing looked like when it first came out. And as you can see, it's not dirty, it's just clumped together. And in my experience, the stuffing itself, like the dirt doesn't get all the way into the stuffing, like at all. And remember that panda I did? This is what that looked like, and that one was stinky. So in my experience, it doesn't ever get like all the way in past the plush. The plush usually keeps the stuffing from getting super dirty, and once you fluff it up like this, it's as good as new. And any kind of like color transfer or staining gets just like mixed together, and you would literally never know. And the stuffing is super good, high quality, recycled, like cotton typically, and it's just so nice. And if you've seen any of my previous videos, you know that I'm just like such a geek about the stuffing. I think it's so pretty and I love it. And as you could see in the different transitions here, that there's several different types that they would make, and I just think it's a really interesting part of the doll's history. And like literally it's half of the doll is its stuffing. So I like to make sure that I keep that stuff together. And even, you know, I've heard some people complain about smells, and I just want to say again, like that panda that I did, it was really stinky, but once I took the plush and washed that, the stuffing inside was totally fine. Like, so even on something really, really stinky, once you work with it a little bit, I think that goes away. So I want to reiterate that there's a big difference between a stinky, like, I don't know what that smell is, like questionable funky smell, and just an antique smell. So I would keep that in mind when you're working with this stuff. So as I mentioned, you can open these up and see so many different types of stuffing, just various types of recycled cotton, as I mentioned. And like I've opened them up and found like little shreds of pieces of newspaper talking about Elvis and stuff like that. It's awesome. So the one material that I will take out is foam. Usually I'll leave it in, but if it's falling apart like this, like if it feels hard and crunchy, I've opened pieces up, especially if they're white, where the degradation of the foam starts to stain the plush. So I hate doing this because I want to keep the vintage piece together, but if it's ruining the integrity of the piece, that it's really hard to justify keeping that in. And then I wanted to show you guys this one that I opened up recently that had mostly recycled cotton, but had little pieces of degrading foam inside that was affecting the toy that I picked out individually like a crazy person. So one thing that's a hard no for me is polyfill. And I've talked about this in other videos, and while I get the appeal of that it's cheap and readily available, you know what is free and vintage and already with your toy in your home is the original stuffing. But let's say that the toy isn't full enough, or literally it's destroyed. I use this 100% cotton, unbleached, organic stuffing that you can get on Amazon. It is a little bit more expensive, but the texture and the weight is exactly the same as the original stuffing, and it blends really well with the original stuffing. And if you think about your toy in terms of it being a soft sculpture, I think that makes it easier to understand that if you use something like polyfill that doesn't hold the same shape and doesn't have the same weight or density, that it's really going to make your toy look strange if that's what you use to restuff. And if you think about it, this stuffing has been with your toy for 60, 70 years at this point. It's like his little soul, you know, and it should really stay with him. And not only that, if you're doing restorations, I think with any type of restorative work, your biggest priority should be to preserve the piece and preserve the integrity of what you're working with. So I will always advocate for the original stuffing. I think it's nicer than anything you could buy today, and it's absolutely gorgeous.